All right, this is JPEG to RAW photo review, show number 44. And tonight we're going to go over some of the December best of 2018 photos. We're going to go over the ones from a select number from the regulars group, and then the 6 finalists from the, that's from the regulars group, a select number from the beginners group. All right, before we get started, like always, I want to tell you how to enter, because we're now in the February contest. And that is, you can go into either our JPEG to RAW groups on Facebook, the regular group or the beginners group, or you can go over to jpegtoraw.com/contest, and there's the links to those Facebook groups, and also the links where you can enter straight from the page. The theme again for this month is open, but you can have your own theme. What is in February? February is Valentine's Day, right?
Yes.
It also is, for a lot of us, still winter. So you have a lot of choices that you can do there. And Molly Morgan is out there in chat too. So we'll welcome all you live listeners. So love to have your entries for February, but tonight we're going to go over the December images. And what I said this in a pre-show, I'm going to say it again here. So we are going to pick 2 random winners, one from the regulars group, one from the beginners group. Those 2 people are going to win a Amazon.com gift card for $25. It'll be a virtual gift card. I'm not going to mail you a real one. So it's going to be a virtual one. Still the same. It has the same effect. Question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Your show says that it is part 1.
Yes, because we're going to go over some of the other December images on a future show.
Right. Are we drawing from all of the photos?
Yes,
or
we are.
Is it per show?
Nope, we're going to do both of them, both of those tonight. So those 2 winners. So we may pick a photo that is not one that's in tonight.
Gotcha.
So I won't necessarily be showing you which photo won, because some people entered more than one, because you could enter more than one photo. Now, the people who are excluded from winning are the people who won first place and second place, who already get an Amazon.com gift card. So if you won first place, if you won second place, you're already getting one. You can't win. If you entered one in both, and I don't know if anybody did, in the beginners and the regulars, you can't win in both groups. It's got to be 2 different people.
Gotcha.
All right.
Well, that clears it up. And that just proves to folks out there, see, Mike and I study all week long rehearsing this show.
Just want to be fair and give back a little bit, and I don't want the same person taking all the money.
Yeah, there you go.
So why don't we start it off with you, AD, since you don't see what I'm seeing. You pick a number between, let's say, the beginners didn't have as many people enter. So let's say a number between 1 and 10.
Okay. 3.
3. Well, the lucky winner from the beginners group is actually live out there in chat right now.
What?
And it's Nancy Smith.
Whoa!
Nancy Smith is the winner from the beginners group. Nancy, congratulations! I will be contacting you probably via Facebook Messenger or something like that with some details I need from you in order to get you the gift card. Maybe not tonight, but but soon. So congratulations, Nancy. Thank you for entering every month. I'm glad it was the people who did enter in December. There's a lot of regulars that do that in our beginners group. So thank you for winning or for entering, and we appreciate it. And entering, and especially Nancy, she enters every month. So I really
always
appreciate
gives
that.
us good material to work with.
And I think she appreciates the feedback and continues to try to improve. All right, so we'll pick the one from the beginners group, the regulars group, a little bit later. Let's get right into the images.
All right.
First up is this image from Jan, who's also out there. No, maybe not. I don't know if Jan's out there tonight. But this image from Jan, and Jan says, with this image, I took a picture of the tree at dusk, then experimented with post-processing using some apps I have. I just like the look. And to me, it looks, I don't know if this is the way the tree was, but it looks like it's got ice all over it. Like, whenever a tree gets coated, all the branches get coated in ice. I don't know if that's the effect from the post-processing, or it really is like that.
Well, so you know me, you know how I would look at this image.
Mhm.
I can give you my personal opinion on it, and we'll hold on that for just a second. I took a picture of a tree at dusk. Okay, all right, got you there, Jan. You experimented with post processing. Yes, with some of the apps that you have, you like the look. Okay, so just going on what Jan said there, it's a winner. Done. Right? I don't have any positive or negative critiquing to do to help Jan get over any roadblocks, because it doesn't sound like she has any there. The post processing looks awesome. It's cool. It's got a unique abstract look to it. Yeah, Mike, I told her it gets a cold. She's got the colors right. It's blue. So I think that from what she gave me for the to go on, I think personally that it fits that description quite well. Jan, if you would when you're taking your photo like this, and I know that you were always reluctant to enter into the contest, but now that you have, it's been so awesome to be able to work with you one-on-one with these images. And it takes a little bit of courage to put your images in front of people that are going to ask you questions and want to know things and all this kind of stuff. I know you're out there in chat tonight, so I'm speaking directly at you. If you would tell me what you had in your heart or what you were going for with the image when you made this image. Were you looking to create that winter cold look? Those are the things that I'd love to hear, that we can expand upon and talk about. Mike and I can say, wow, okay, she was going for that icy tree look. Well, you nailed it, right? Otherwise, for me, I can just look at it and just tell you my personal opinion. Does Andy like it? And if that's important to you, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't really matter. I mean, Mike and I's opinions are just talking points to kind of get the chemistry in your brain going. That's why we talk and we do this show. But if you give us, the more you give us to go on, the more we can kind of play off that and kind of find out, what's Jan thinking about? What was she going for? This is a nice abstract image. It's a borderline abstract image. Remember, abstract is something that you can take a picture of something, and if it's abstract, you generally can't identify what it is, but the composition and the colors and things play its own story, which is what makes the abstract. So it's not abstract in the effect that I can't tell that it isn't a tree. So you could have maybe played with the image even more, mirrored it, done some different things, and tried and played around with that would have pushed it farther into the abstract, although it's a tree and it's pretty hard to not do that, right? So what you're saying there, yes, winter, cold, depressed kind of look, it has that look to it. It makes me think of the darkness that some of us face. I have a problem with winter depression, because they know it's known as Gray's disease, where just during the winter I can clam up and just and stay in bed for an entire winter, and so I don't like cold weather. I don't like freezing cold weather, and I don't mind snow, but generally we just have wind and cold where I live, and so. I get that when I look at this image. I totally understand that kind of feeling that you're trying to project. So for me, I think it's a winner as far as that goes. Mike, what kind of, what are your feelings on the image?
Well, I love blue, so right off the bat, I love the blue. And
Right.
Jan did say that the icy look on the tree is from the post processing. So I think that icy look on trees is cool, because I live down here in Atlanta. I don't get that very often. So I think some of that beauty of those trees, you may not find it as beautiful as I do, having ice on the trees like that, but I do. So from that standpoint, even though she achieved that in post processing, I still think it's a cool look. And knowing that she was looking for a winter depressed look, I get that from that image.
And the most important part of what she said in her text was, I just like the look.
Yeah.
And boom. I mean, that says a lot, especially coming for someone entering in the beginners category, that, you like the look and you submitted the photo. And that confidence is really very important when you're processing your images, and make it the way you want to and what you feel and what you want to express. Let me tell you, Jan, we have a little bit alike, you and I. My very first published photo was of a tree covered in ice. I'll let you know.
And I also like that
I like that look.
She branched out, to no pun intended, branched out and was trying some different post-processing. That's always good. I think we're going to have another image in a little bit that they did some post-processing to it too.
Be creative. Yeah, keep going.
Doesn't always work, but you know what? Your failures are what help you grow too.
You nailed this one though. Yep. Nope. No doubt.
All right. So up next is this image from Daniel Sandberg.
Hey.
All right, Daniel. Daniel doesn't. I don't think he ever gives us much information. So all he gave us here was Cape Town, South Africa, and it looks It looks like a beautiful area. I don't know if it's shark infested, because that's what I have in my mind when I think of South Africa, is just shark-infested waters with killer sharks.
Well, it looks like there might be a shark in them clouds out there. I don't know.
Yeah, but it is a beautiful area. Now, I have some questions for you, AD, because you got me doing border patrol, not control. And I go to the one on the right I'm okay with, the big cloud. What do you think about the upper left? Is that okay?
I'm not happy with the sky at all in this image, or the image as a whole. And I'm never too harsh, but Daniel's jumping in both feet first. So first off, let me commend Daniel on throwing it out there. I'm going to throw down and see what happens. So Daniel, you didn't give us much to go on, so I just have to go on. I'm going to go on the technical side of it. As a landscape photographer myself, I will give you what I have learned in the last 10 years or so from taking big photos like this. Now, this is a panorama. I can tell you already, this was multiple shots that he assembled together. I can tell that by the arch of the distant arch of the horizon line on the water. While this is a beautiful area, it could be captured and made more epic by getting rid of a lot of the sky up in the top, which is not really all that fantastic. I think this was a missed moment, whereas there's not enough detail or clouds in the sky to make the sky worth putting in the image. So I would have chopped this off way, way shorter off the top of the sky than this is, and made it a nice wide pano and gotten rid of the entire sky. There's nothing going on up there other than things here and there, and it really does not lend to the image. And when you split your landscape images with a horizon in the middle and you do not have symmetry, you are now forcing the viewer to look at I'm looking at the water, I'm looking at the sky, I'm looking at the water, I'm looking at the sky, I'm looking at the water, sky. You're not really like taking in the image with any sort of story or any sort of leading the person or the viewer into the image, if you understand. So your foreground here, is it the hills? Is that your foreground and the water is your background? Well, if it is, how do you have a sky as a background too? That means you got two backgrounds, which means two things fighting with each other for being the star of the show. To me, the way the land hooks around tells a wonderful story. I'd just get rid of the sky. I'd cut this image down to probably 2/3 of what it is height-wise and remove all of that. The other thing is, the sky may have told a better story if we waited long enough for those clouds to fill the sky, or at least be more even throughout the sky. I'm seeing some errors up in there, Mike. I see a little left of center right. I see a real blue blotch in there. I don't know what that is. That's part of that border patrol. There's also on the left, there's some round, like weird things. On the right might have been a lens flare or something. A lot of times you may not see these if your monitor isn't calibrated properly. Sometimes these shades will all look the same. So you have to be very careful with that. And that's how a lot of border patrol, a lot of people miss that. I'm seeing quite a few different lines and artifacts and whatnot in the image. I don't know whether this was taken with a cell phone. Could have been taken on a cell phone. I don't know. So Daniel doesn't give us a whole lot of information, but I would make sure that when you're creating these panoramas, make sure your horizon's straight and flat. That's very important. Water doesn't tilt. Water doesn't bend like that unless you're taking a picture of the entire Earth. And also, if you're trying to go for a fisheye look, then that's different. That's an effect usually. And please try to stay away from symmetry, as in putting the horizon in the center. The horizon should be in the lower thirds or the upper thirds, depending on which part of the image you want to be the superstar here. It wasn't the sky here. I'd have to say it's the bay. So I would have put the horizon in the upper thirds and cut this image down. Keep that foreground. I like the foreground. I like the way it hooks around. I think it's important to show that. That's why I would have cut the sky out of this image almost completely. It's just not cooperating for you. It isn't the star of the show, but it's there making its presence known. It's the guy who shows up on the TV show, on the live television show, and he walks, he's in the back waving peace or making a fool of himself in the back of the image. That's what the sky is doing to your image right now. So just be careful with that.
I mentioned Border Patrol. So over the course of our 44 shows now, there's things that are sticking in my mind. The Border Patrol, and now this is one that you mention quite often, is that horizon in the middle, and the competition between the sky and the landscape, and getting those two right.
Got to make a choice. Got to make a choice there. And so that's the thing, symmetry is great. Putting the horizon in the middle is okay if there is balance. So if you've got, a reflection of the sky, like the sun reflecting off the water, and it's a nice reflection, you can use that symmetry to your advantage. But that's usually the only time that we really split the image right down the middle. There are exceptions, but we're not at that level right now or talking about that sort of like fine art level, minimalist images where you would use that to create tension for the viewer and that sort of stuff. We're just talking about very basic stuff here in the beginners group, and this is one that I like to address quite a bit. And we go out and take a lot of landscape shots. This was a lot of photos, I would assume, to take a big thing like this. So you want to be careful with that. If we delve a little deeper real quick and just some things, there's a small white dot on my in the water. Might have been a boat, might not be a boat. It's not identifiable. So usually I would suggest that be cloned out if it's not identifiable either way, because it's a dot and it's distracting, and it pulls your eye over there. You're like, well, what is that? Well, I can't tell. Well, yeah. And I mean, even as close as you can get, you still can't tell whether it was a boat or not. So just be careful of all those things, Daniel. Keep submitting. Please, if you ever watch the show, I hope you watch it at some point in time, give us more information about, why you pressed the shutter button, why you processed it this way. And then we can have a discussion based on your goals. And that's what I try to strive for. So. But keep submitting, please. Please keep submitting, because I always enjoy talking about your photos.
Yep. Thank you, Daniel.
Yes.
All right. Up next is this image from Nancy Smith.
Hey.
Nancy, who's out there in chat, doesn't give us a lot of information either, but she does say sibling love with this. And this is where I have a question. I'm glad she's out in chat. I have a question because I didn't, when I first looked at the photo, I like it. I like the brother and sister here, and the bond that you see there, and you get the feeling of the love between them, the two.
Yep.
But I think that this is a composite image, if I'm not right.
That is correct. That is correct. It is a composite image. So that is where that's the tough thing, is fooling. How can I tell it's a composite image? Well, I will tell you how, Nancy, and this is the things that you'll want to look for when you're compositing. And I can put you with some people that are also learning to composite and talk about this kind of stuff. Always be very wary of where your light is coming from and where your light is going when compositing images. So one thing you got right here was the light is coming from the right-hand side of the image. It's probably a sunset or something of that sort, and it's casting the long shadows. And the light part of their skin is nice and light on the right-hand side. So perfect blend there. If you look at the upper half of the image, you're like, wow, yeah, okay, this happened that way. As you scan down lower, though, you start to see at the feet that there are no cast shadows by the children, yet the trees are all casting long shadows. And the problem there is that you've got to learn how to make those shadows, and it's very difficult sometimes to do that. It's layers in Photoshop. I'd be more than happy to work with you and show you some techniques that I learned over the years for compositing images together. And you really have to sell an image with the light. And anytime you don't, it's almost immediately apparent. Now, it may not be apparent as to what is wrong with the image. People who don't even notice things like that, they may not say to you, "Oh, I don't see any shadow down there." But they'll be like, it's a cute image. I like it. There's something about it. I don't know. It's good. I mean, but they'll know that there's something with the image. So learning to do those shadows, underlaying shadows and cast shadows, it takes a little bit of work. But if you look for tutorials online, that'll show you how to take care of those. And always remember that, like anybody standing on a surface, always has a slightly dark patch underneath them. So if you were to create a layer between the kids and the background and just use a dark brush, and you can just use black if you want to, with a very soft brush on it, and draw around the shape of the foot underneath there, and then lower the opacity so that it looks just like a dark spot, you will make the image so much more believable that there is a shadow cast under that foot. Suddenly you give the child weight, and you give it believability that they were there casting a shadow. And those shadows and light can absolutely sell the image and make it that much more believable. I would love for you, Nancy, to submit this image to me in layers and let me composite it for you, and then send it back to you in a video format to show you what I did. I would be more than thrilled to do that for you if it helps you out. I think it's a wonderful image. I think it's 99% there, and still could you could get it there the full 100%. So please let me know if that's a possibility, and I would be more than happy to help you out with that. And Mike or one of us will supply you with a private email that you could send me, and we can connect and check that out.
So what I'm raising my hand for.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm looking over it.
You're not watching me.
I have to apologize. Yeah, I don't see Mike because I have to look at the camera. So sorry.
What I was raising my hand for was I was going to suggest, if you are still looking for ideas for your Patreon page,
yes,
videos, that would be a great topic, especially if Nancy would supply those images and do it to that. If she doesn't feel comfortable with that, maybe something else. But to do a video, I don't know how long it'd have to be. So if it's too big, maybe it'd have to be more than one. But if not, I'd love to see that, because I know this is complicated work to get the feet to look right on touching the pavement, and the shadows too. So I'd love to see a walkthrough with that. Not to put Nancy on the spot, it's her decision, but if she were to supply that, I'd love to see it with this image here.
Yeah, I think she did a good job matching like the green look of the background and the foreground of the kids. She did that really well. The toning of them is perfect. The only thing that I'm seeing that's missing here is the cast shadows, which is the giveaway, unfortunately. When you look at the image, is that the trees are casting shadows, and she did do some work there, and that's excellent work as far as that go. Now we have to just get the shadows from the kids. And you would not believe, sometimes when you first think about trying to do this, you're like, man, how can I make that look like the shadow of a kid? And you won't realize that actually it's really just a line that needs to sell it. Just a very simple line in there of layering. So it's one of those things that I would love to take on and do. I actually have another Patreon supporter who is big into compositing. We just had a monthly meeting talking about her future, and she's a teacher right now, and she's thinking about retiring in 3 years, and she's trying to move towards being a photography educator in her area. So she wants to learn as well, and she loves doing composite images. It's one of the things she wants to teach. So I'm just starting to work on that with her as well. So I'm putting the offer out there, Nancy. If it's anything you're interested in, please feel free to contact me or Mike and let me know that you'd like to do that. And we'll make arrangements and make it happen for you, for sure.
And Nancy, you can either contact me through Facebook or email me at podcast@jpeglerall.com if you're interested.
The most important thing too, Mike, I want to just say before we go on to the next image is this type of entry. Nancy leads the way of showing people this is how you need to put images like this out there to learn. Mm-hmm. You have to be not afraid to submit an image where, that something like this is possible. So, guys, if you have an image out there, it doesn't have to be perfect. Please, you submit perfect images. We're not going to talk a lot about them. We love to, the images that need work and what we can help you with is what we need. So
awesome. if you watch the show or the other show, I'm not a pro. I'm not nearly as experienced as AD. So I will tell you that when I first looked at this image, I instantly liked it because for me, I looked at the bond of the two kids, and it wasn't until I looked a little bit closer that I caught something was wrong. So my first impression was, oh, look at that. That is so cute. Especially the little boy in overalls and his foot up in the air, just it's so cute. So from that standpoint, you got it. And I love that she tried and worked on the composite because, and other than the shadow, she did a great job.
Oh yeah. And this must just be, it might just be something where she wants to learn the technique, we'll figure it out. That's awesome. I'm glad she was here to share in YouTube chat as well. So
thanks, Nancy. All right, now that's the end of the beginners group, and we're going to move into the regulars group. And the ones we're doing tonight are the 6 finalists. So the one, AD, you were one of the judges this year, so you know these.
Did you make all the feedback public?
I have not yet, but I will.
Okay.
I will make the feedback public. I don't say which judge said what, but I do.
You're going to know now what.
Yeah, you're going to know what you said.
I'm a patsy. I'm on the show. I agree to do this show to expose what I say about people's photos. That isn't right.
Oh, boy. So first up is this one from Gina Clark. Gina, who takes wonderful and amazing images and is an amazing post-processor. She never gives us much information, though. She just says Poppy, which I think is her nickname for this child, Poppy in the woods.
Yeah. I had a lot of good things to say about this image. There were a few things that I felt could have been worked on a little bit more, but I thought it was a great image overall, and I thought she executed it quite well. It's very, it's got a very like fantasy kind of feel to it. I love the little red coat. I mean, that's very classic. I think we talked a little bit about the darkness of the trees on one side and the little imbalance that's going on in an image that's otherwise symmetrical. I think that was, I think my feedback was more like, I think if it was, if maybe it was not slightly off symmetrically, that if it was more like in the thirds and more of the golden spiral rule, that it probably would have really nailed it.
Let me try this, because one of the other reviewers that was their critique too, that love the image. They would have done a little bit different crop. So if you watch your screen, that's the original one. This is the cropped image that they did.
Yeah. For me, that's more powerful. The path makes more sense to me. The large tree on the right in the dark area is not so commanding now. So for me personally, that is right on for me. I'm not sure that I would have gone with the 3:4 format still, but that's fine. That gets that more says what I think I was thinking in my head. And Gary's right. Yeah, less is more here. That's kind of what we're saying. But
so that's the original.
I mean, beyond that, that's just a simple thing. The execution of the image and the captured moment and the look of the image and everything is, it's award winning. So yeah, this is a wall hanger for sure. And I'm sure this is this a relative of hers? Do you know, Mike? Or
I think it is a granddaughter or something like that. I'm not positive, but I think it is a relative. Yes.
Yeah, and so they're gonna love this photo. I mean, we're critiquing it like fine art stuff, and the parents are just gonna freak out. I mean, this is something
awesome. Yeah.
this is something that for 100 years is people are going to look at and be just blown away by. So yeah, great job, Gina, on it.
Great job.
This was in my top. I think this was in my top 3 images that I picked from the end of the year. So
it was. Yep. It was. I think it won the month it entered, because you can re-enter stuff. And it won the month it entered, and it did well here. All right.
Yep.
So up next is this image from Daryl, and I don't know if he's still out on Facebook watching, but Daryl Harrington with this image. And Daryl says, I took a trip up to Maine this weekend to try and get back into it. Get back into photography, I'd imagine. Most of the day brought high clouds, but I got lucky in the morning and got a small break. This is a 4.5-minute exposure of Portland Head Lighthouse.
Yes, the Portland Head. We were just here in 2016 with a group of friends. This lighthouse is mostly filmed from the other side, actually. That's the most popular side, is the other side. But we came over on this side, and we really like this side of it. There's also some ruins here, too, over on... Hey, Daryl. I see you over on YouTube, buddy. There's also some ruins over on the other side here that we had a big fun time taking photos of as well. This headlight image is gorgeous. I love that you did the long exposure here. I did something similar to that as well when I was here. The horizon this is an interesting thing to talk about here, because I experienced this firsthand. Now, the horizon looks like it's bent, but it's not. This image, where it looks like it gets closer to the lighthouse, looks like it dips down. Actually, there's land out there. So it makes it look like the water dips down, but there's actually a coastline that's reaching out and around. And it's so far out there that it deceives your eye and makes it look like the water. I struggled with it for the longest time until I found a couple of my images where I had zoomed in, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's actually like land out there. My thoughts on the image, Daryl, was the same as the other image. I think that there was a little bit too much sky involved, and I would have probably brought it down a little bit and in a little bit from the left. You have that little spot of land over on the left there, that little dot that's not doing a whole lot for your image. I think the thing here is the light and the sun kind of playing off each other. And I wasn't sure whether or not there was the image that I originally saw looked like some repeating of the clouds. So I didn't know if there was some other image that was overlaid there or what was going on. And the main thing, though, for me is the straightening of the lighthouse. The lighthouse has kind of a tilt back kind of look to it, which is extremely difficult to straighten after the fact. And that's something where you might want to use a skew between the top and the bottom of the image. Take the whole image and skew it just slightly. And what that'll do is take that lighthouse and it'll make it straight up and down for you, instead of having that kind of tilt back from your wide lens look that it has right now. So it's just take the whole image, make it into a layer, and use the skew property, and you'll just move it just a little bit, and it'll straighten that lighthouse right up for you, so that it's perfectly straight up and down. Because right now, kind of looks like it's tilting a little bit to the right. I think that's basically it. Mainly, I just wanted to say that I thought that the tones and everything of the image were gorgeous, and yeah. I really gave you a lot of points for shooting this lighthouse from the what we call the right side, because everybody shoots from the other side, which is the other side, I'm going to tell you guys, is an easy shot to make. Like, anybody can go there. You can go there with an iPhone. It's going to be beautiful. I mean, it's a very easy shot. This side, a little bit more difficult. Got a little bit of a cliff to deal with there. There's almost a straight down drop cliff right in front of where he's at. And you can climb down there, but it with your gear and stuff, it can be a lot of fun. But it is this is the side to get the shot from, I think, personally. So I call it the right side. So you did a great job, Daryl, and I'm glad to see you're getting back into it, man. Hopefully we see more images from you.
He's a talented photographer, and everything he submits is just gorgeous.
Agreed.
I'd love to hang out with him sometime, and I can learn from him quite a bit. So
we should all make him. Well, I'm telling you what,
we should have a get together.
The meetup has got to happen at some point.
We got to, yeah. I just need to get less busy.
Yeah, right.
All right. Maybe when I retire.
Mm.
All right. Up next is this image from Christina Binge.
Woohoo.
Christina Binge. Let me find her name. And I think she's out there. Now, Christina, I don't know if she knows this. I think she does. Was our second place winner. So I need to contact her and get that set up. So congratulations, Christina. You are our second place winner.
Good job.
So Christina says that, and this was a resubmit from earlier. I think Daryl's was too. And I think he did take some of the suggestions from the earlier submission and crop it a little bit different than he originally had, if I remember right. So Christina says, had a prompt for a moment on my 365, ended up loving the outcome of it, thought I'd share it and enter it here. So not a lot of details, but I think, I might have said that wrong. She said she had a prompt for movement. So this is movement. Yep. And I love the color, the green color, the spinning of the globe. If I had any critique, it would be that one dot off to the right is a little too bright.
Yeah.
Other than that, I love this image in the motion there.
My name for this image is That's No Moon. So, no, this, I think, Mike, I could be wrong, but I believe this was probably in the, yeah, that's what I thought too. Gary says it reminds him of a moon. That's what it reminds me of too. So I thought it was my personal feeling is it's pretty well placed. So I think this was either my first or second pick in the contest.
Do you want me to tell you?
You can tell me. Was it my first?
It was your first. This was your first.
Yeah, I think it was my top pick. I was captivated by this image. I thought this was a wonderful idea. It takes a bit of ingenuity to take this image and get it right and get it to look like this. So I really thought, for me, there were so many good images in the contest, and all of my scoring was very tight, as it usually is, because the year-end stuff is always like rocking. But this was my favorite image out of all of the images that were out there. Yeah, I just, like I said, it struck home for me, so I liked it.
And just to give everybody, of the 6 that were entered, that made the finals. We rate them from a rating of from 1 to 10 in the grouping of technical, creative, impact/emotion, composition, and then overall. And overall is double weighted. And really, the voting from last place to first place was pretty tight. I mean, they were all really pretty good. They were all really good, I should say.
Yeah.
But
this just had everything. This had everything for me personally. It had color. It had the movement, all of those boxes were ticked off for me. So yeah,
I liked it when she submitted it originally, and I like it again. Yep.
Yeah, it definitely held up. So
yeah. All right, up next is this image, I think, from our first time submitter, Wendy Hill. Wendy Hill.
Awesome image.
And Wendy says, I really enjoy food photography and wanted to create a set of images that would tell a story. What came to mind was seeing an artichoke go from unprepared to eaten. While I did make this version, I really liked it, the motion in the story kept pulling me back in. Of all the things I shot this year, this triptych, is that the right way? Is my favorite.
Yes, triptych. Yeah,
triptych. I don't have this printed yet, but will be in my kitchen. Oh, that's a great image for a kitchen.
Yeah, it's going to look great in a kitchen. It's going to look great in a restaurant, anything like that. I think that, Wendy, first of all, thank you for submitting. Definitely a well-shot image. The technical side of it, capturing the water droplets, capturing the salt, all of that done very well, capturing the oil. My critique on this image would have been the center image is the winner as far as I'm concerned of all the 3 images. I think that you got just enough hand, just enough salt, just enough artichoke, and just enough foreground. Everything about the center image is perfect. What I think is missing from the triptych is that same power in the other 2 images. The squeezing of the lemons, I think less hands there. I don't want to see there's like a bright light on the tendon or the buckle of the watch on the hand. Just show me just the end, just the fingers squeezing the lemons in the same composition that you have with the salt. And then when we go to the olive oil, give me that olive oil pour in the center like you have with everything else. For me, it was confusing as to why it wasn't all, like that symmetry. We have a triptych. Where is the symmetry between the three? So this image, I loved it. I gave it good scores, but it fell as far for me with the oil pour. I think the other, the hands and the lemon squeeze could have been okay if the oil would have been pouring in the center of the artichoke and also poured straight up and down. Now I know that like when you're preparing these, pouring the oil directly on the artichoke heart itself is not the desired thing to do. But I think for the image sake, not a lot. You could have poured it on the back part of the artichoke, see, instead of the side. So you could have poured it on the back part and kept it right in the middle and kept that perfect symmetry. And you've got a lot of negative space on that oil pour on the right image. There's just so much negative space there that you were going for symmetry, and then suddenly the third image is like, what happened? Yeah. Did that person pull away at the last minute when you're trying to shoot that photo? So if I would have seen, I think that would have really boosted this image right up there in the top 3 for me. And I think it was somewhere in the top 5. So I think that a wonderful submission. Definitely printable for the kitchen for sure. I'd print it on metal. It's going to look amazing. And you could even post edit it and probably move that over, I bet you, depending on how wide, how much of your image you have there. But that's just my suggestion of balancing out the triptych. But it's wonderful food photography, and just keep submitting and keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to see more of your images.
Love
to see more of your images, Wendy.
Yep.
All right, up next is this shot from Millen, and Millen was the winner. He came in first place with this shot, and Millen is one that does give us a lot of information.
Yep.
Millen says he named it early morning in the park. This is my new. This is my new image that I want to add for the December contest. All others. Okay, let me skip all that. This was the first snow for this winter season, and it was snowing hard. I've decided to take my camera with me on my way to work. It was snowing very hard. To have had to up the ISO at levels I don't feel comfortable shooting. It's ISO 1600, which works for here. And I was a little afraid about it. The 1 and 1/15 shutter speed. But the view of falling snow under the park lights just made me click the image. For processing, there he goes. For processing, I've used Imagenomic Noiseware, Color Effects Pro, some snow effects I've cropped in and cloned some distractions. I want the image to look like a fairy tale, and I think he succeeded there. It does look like a fairy tale to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I did not pick Millen as the winner.
You didn't?
I didn't. And I had some suggestions for the image. I sent an edit along to him to complete his fairy tale. For me, the lights are beautiful. The snow is beautiful. The trees, the tones are beautiful. The garbage can, not so much. And so he did a lot of editing, and I just wish he would have taken the little thing there that's right in the front of the image. I just wish that it would have been cloned out. I did an edit, like I said, of the image that was cloned out. I also cloned out the set of foot tracks that are kind of walking over to the puddle.
Mm-hmm.
I took those out because I thought the story here was the tracks. It looks like, all I can think, this is what I think when I look at this image. And so this is, no person, Gary, you're right. But tell me if this strikes home. If you don't have the little garbage thing there or whatever it is, I'm not sure what it is. It looks like they
by
put
the tree.
By the tree, that yellow thing with the.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's a distractor, is what it is. But if you just have the tracks with the two lines next to it, all I can think of is some kid pulling his sleigh, his little sled behind him. and you don't need a person in the image when you have that. But then we have this other thing. I've got another story that starts right at that point and walks over to a puddle and then walks back across the thing. And I'm like, well, what was that? I've lost it. I've lost the wonderment of it. And so he's gone through all this processing. And I said, Millen, you were like 95% of the way there. The other 5% is get rid of those footprints. It's such an easy edit just to get rid of those. You've done so much other amazing work here that, why wouldn't you do those two things? And so I gave Millen a little push because Millen is one of those folks that he will take the push and run with it. So Millen, next time, man, think about those distractions in there. And you will make more of the fantasy look. When we want a fantasy world, it's interesting to leave things that are man-made in a fantasy world, but also it's certain things like utility things, unless we're going for like a dystopian steampunky kind of world, we're going to remove the utilitarian, the dog pooper scooper holder or whatever that thing is. I don't know what it is. And that's the problem, I think, with it for me, is that it's there and it doesn't make sense. And it robs, that yellow mark just robs me of the blue and the white that this image was simpled down to. And he did so much other work. That's what kind of freaked me out. It was like, you did all this other work, dude, and it looks amazing. Why wouldn't you just get rid of that? Because it's just a clone brush and just go whoop and it's gone and you're done. Even the smaller one isn't yellow. The smaller one in the back. Yeah. It almost looks like a person walking out there. That one, I removed that one too from his image. Both of them I took out of there, but that one's not so necessary as this one.
The close one.
Yeah. Right. And the footprints were super easy to remove. I mean, they were just boop, boop, boop. And I was done with that. So I think Millen, for me, it didn't score the best for me. I gave you a lot of points in your creativity and all of this kind of stuff. But overall for me, it was, I want to see more from you. You have come the most, you and Amber both, from the beginning, and I'm not dissing anybody else in the group because everybody is just shown amazing work week after week. But for me, Millen and Amber both have come the farthest since I've been with this group and seen them images submitted week after week. And so I tend to look at those guys, and I'm going to push you guys harder because you're taking it and running with it. So Millen's images compared to last year were nowhere near this. His image last year was great, but it wasn't.
You still rated this one pretty high.
I did. Yeah. He's pushing boundaries, and it was important for me to let him know that he's doing that. And so I just think that Millen, keep going and make it. I think if you do those little edits, and I'd be more than happy again to share my edits that I did with you. And I think you got a printable. Print this up and put it in a coffee shop, and I bet you sell it.
Yeah, and I know he listens to this or watches this after the fact.
He does. Yes,
he's
he does.
in a much different time zone than us, but
religiously, yes, he's in Bulgaria.
Thank you, Millen. Wonderful image. You did win first place. I need to contact you because we got to figure out what we're going to do with how you're going to get the prize. I don't know if Amazon.com works where you live, but we'll talk about that. All right, last image up. Speaking of Amber, is this image here from Amber, and I think she might have just left. So,
what?
Yeah,
Amber.
I'm sure she has a life.
I don't want to see what he has to say about my image. I'm out.
So Amber submitted this photo. This is one that she had submitted earlier in the year that we loved when she submitted it, and she says she worked on this some more after the original post in the group. I used a high-speed shutter speed light through a softbox with a grid camera right, putting a before and after in the comments. Oh, shoot. So I wish I had pulled that in. She had a before and after in the comments.
I haven't seen that.
Sorry. The before is after basic ACR adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, great image. Again, Amber, like I said, this is a good example, I think, Mike, of less is more. We've said that a couple of times tonight. Amber didn't go overboard with this image, but the costuming is good. The light is amazing. The coloring and toning is graded perfectly. This just shows that she is really working on her craft. And I rated this image quite well as well. I thought she did a great job here. Composition is good. He's got that Mad Max kind of look going on. Yeah, it's all good by me. I think I might have mentioned before to grunge it up a little bit, and I think she did that. She added a little bit of grain to it, and she kind of faded the shadows a little bit, which is one of the looks that I absolutely adore. Is a faded shadow kind of look, or a matte look, is it's known. So I think she did that quite nicely as well. So. This was just an excellent showing from Amber again. She just keeps getting better, which is awesome.
Great image, Amber. And that was it for the December best of 2018.
Very nice.
That was the finalist in the regulars group. We're going to have some of the other images in another follow-up show that we're going to do. Not next weekend. I'm traveling, but maybe you'll have to talk to AD about a weekend after that. But we do now have to pick the random winner from the regulars group. So pick a number between 1 and 50. And if you pick a number that is Millen or Christina, I have to have you pick another number. So
okay.
You don't know what their numbers are. So you pick a number and I'll
between 1 and 50?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to pick my age, which is 29.
29. Let me see who 29 is. Haha, this person's also listening. That is awesome. Yay. I am so glad that both listeners who win both winners are listening tonight. And that winner, the image that I have here listed as number 29 is Daryl Harrington.
Yes. Woohoo.
I better write these things down.
Congratulations, Daryl.
Let me write these things down.
Who won tonight, Mike? Who
Nancy. Nancy won. Nancy and Daryl.
And just so you guys know, Mike, we don't rehearse any of this stuff. Mike just threw like numbers at me, and I just pick them. I have no idea. I'm not looking at anything.
You can't see what I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck he's doing over there. So I'm just picking off the top of my head. So awesome job, Daryl.
Great job. I know it's just a little bit of us giving back for appreciation for y'all sharing y'all's work with us. And hopefully we're all learning together. I know some of the people who are submitting are way over my capabilities, but even they're hopefully are learning from all this. I know I am. I'm learning from these critiques, and some of the things I have to hear it over and over again. They're starting to stick. Whether I can reproduce them or not is another thing, but I'm learning from the process. So
it's interesting. Huh? It's interesting, Mike. I actually learn as well. So it's every week that I see someone's images, I see through somebody else's eyes. So I just personally want to say thank you to everybody out there for submitting the images and allowing me to hack my way through them. So and I hope that it does help everybody out, and I don't hope no one ever takes anything like a personal stab or believes that Mike and I ever think that we're like, well, we judge these images and we think, because we are totally not that way at all. It's we're here struggling and racking our brains trying to help people get past creative roadblocks. That's basically what our goal is and what I've always wanted to do with everybody on the show. So keep submitting the images and telling us why you took them. That's the important thing. And we'll keep doing what we're doing. So. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. All right. As we head out, I want to remind you can get this show recorded, the recorded version, of course, on YouTube. You can watch us live there, too. You can get it on iTunes, a video large or small, and you can also get it on Vimeo. To get that list, if you don't remember all that list, just head over to jpedderall.com/subscribe, and I have links right there for you to see how to subscribe. Then don't forget to go over and check out AD's site, the explorographer.com. Over there. If you want to contact AD, go over to Who is AD?
Oh, no.
Who is AD? And then he has a down below, right? Yes, a contact form. We can go down below, contact him. Also has all his social media stuff, although that's shares. That's not your social media. Let's go back to the beginning. Or connect with you through all these different ways. Over on, you got to take the G Plus off here pretty soon. That's gone away.
Yeah,
I know. It's a shame.
We can talk about that in the post show.
And then don't forget that he's over on Patreon on thecreators.com. And over there you can, subscribe or become a patron of his for as little as $1 a month. And then depending on what you want, you can go up from there. All the way up to a full mentoring session, or even the ultimate at $75, depending on what you want to do. And by doing that, even at the $1, what we were talking earlier, AD, about you doing the video to show us, if Nancy wants to submit her stuff, or if not Nancy's, you can do something else to show us that composite thing. As even a $1 patron, you can get that. You can watch that live. And the thing I love about watching live, just like this show, we can talk to you as you do it.
Yeah, and it's this show for $1 a month. It's like this show only based on you in interactive. That's, we just take one photo or one program or one piece of software, whatever you want, and we'll go through it with you. And we do it with the other people in the community so that they can learn as well. And that's how it works in the community. You can pick subjects for me to make videos on or do live streams on, and then you can participate. And we can go back and forth and talk about things, and you can ask questions. And I always pause during my live streams and say, hey, if you guys have questions, I'm going to wait a couple of minutes here and play around with the software, and you can watch me do stuff and type in your questions, and I go and answer what people ask about the software or ask about the technique or any of that kind of stuff. So $1 a month though gets you fully in the door. The other tiers really pertain to if you want, if you're working on a business and you want my mentoring once a month to help you further your business, to take what steps do I take to start selling my photos? What steps do I take to build a better website? All of that kind of stuff come at different levels. At the $75 level, what I'm doing is actually I do what Mike is doing right now. I engineer podcasts. I do Janice's macro photography live chat show. I engineer her show every week. I kind of work in the background, and she sends me a signal and guests and all that kind of stuff, and I produce a show live for her on the internet. So all she has to do is just basically show up and talk to people. She doesn't have to do all the button pushing like Mike. Mike's over there. He's not only like talking and critiquing photos, but he's like pushing. You saw the board. He's like got this board of 1,000 unmarked buttons that he's trying to.
Because you can't write on this thing. You can't write on it.
I don't know how he does it. I don't know how you do it, man.
Who designed something you can't write on with all these buttons? That's just insane.
Exactly. So, but anyways, there's different tiers and that kind of stuff. But if you have any questions, you can jump in. You can ask questions. You don't even have to subscribe. You can just come follow the channel. I do post some free stuff once in a while, and we do some free live streams once every other month or so. I'll do a free live stream so you can just see, is it my deal? Do I like to do it? And if you do subscribe, it's not a contract. You can subscribe for 1 month for $1 and then be like, I don't like it. Yeah. And then stop it and just say I don't like it anymore. So
that's the beauty of that. Me personally, I like that where I can give back a little bit to. I only do it to 2 people right now. I contribute to you, AD, and also to my friend Don Kamarashka, because he does it. Whatever he's doing, though, he puts out shows on a regular basis. But I think the way he's doing them is only when he posts them to Patreon. So I don't think I'm being charged every month, and I don't mind paying him every month because he does great work too. But if you're enjoying somebody's work and you want to give back a little bit to them, like AD said, you can do it through Patreon, and you can stop anytime you want. There's no commitment. But
and if you don't want to do any of that, just check me out on YouTube, because my YouTube channel is actually finally monetized. So
good job.
You can just go over and watch for nothing. So.
All right.
Well, you have to do commercials, so that sucks.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out live. We had a number of people over on Facebook and on YouTube, and we're going to go into the post show here. So until next show, keep shooting. Good night, everybody.
Good night.